Now I seem to remember a pattern called the light bright caddis. Y'all remember this thing, right? But I couldn't find any reference to it out there, so maybe I was dreaming it. But I wanted a bright caddis dry fly that I could fish on sunny days, so I came up with this pattern recently. Now, it's not like I've invented something new. I'm sure plenty of tyers have come up with this thing over the years. But I didn't have anything like this in any of my dry fly boxes until recently. It's just another caddis dry fly with elk hair, but purposely not tied in the elk hair caddis style, meaning I'm not palmering the hackle up through the body, because I'm tying it with a bright body that I want to sit down in the surface film. And the pattern has no name. I'm just calling it a High-viz Caddis because that's kind of what it is. Now, I did get a chance to try this out on the gunpowder last weekend, so stick around after the tie if you want to see a couple minutes of me fishing this thing. So there it is in the vise, just my sunny day, bright, High-viz Caddis dry fly. Not a whole lot to it. And I'm tying this on a size 12 standard length barbless dry fly hook. And I'm using olive thread just because I've got a couple of olive components in it, but I don't think thread color really matters. Black would certainly be fine, but go ahead and catch it in, bring it back here to the start of the bend. Let's put a little wax on our thread here. And dubbing I'm using Super Bright. This Super Bright in a chartreuse. We're going to dub the back 2/3. We'll leave room for the wing and a front collar hackle. I don't have a very tight noodle on here, but we'll get a couple wraps and then try to tighten it back up. And that's okay if you got a little fuzzy body. Okay, I think that's going to be enough. I got a little bit of scrap right there, but that's going to give us a pretty bright little body. And next we're going to tie in a wing. Just standard elk hair here. Put it in your stacker. See if that stacked okay. I think it did. And just tie it to the back of the hook right there. This might be a few more hairs than I usually do, but let's see how it looks. I'm going to cord this up. It's going to flare up front. That's perfectly fine. Might flare a little bit in the back too. And if it does, we can just, it's maybe a little higher than I want. We'll take a couple of medium wraps going back right here. And just lay that back down a little bit more. Okay, I think that's going to be fine. Now just snip all this up here, and we're not snipping it like an elk hair caddis. We're going to cut it short and then bury it so we can wrap a collar hackle here. Okay, when you've cut that enough, just don't let it spin on you. Hold it tight, put a few wraps right here, up to the eye. Just be careful not to start clobbering your eye. And we'll leave our thread back here toward the back of the head, and we'll catch in our hackle. And this is a grizzly dyed olive. I don't think this really matters much what you use right here. Let's catch it in about right there. I think a regular grizzly would be fine. Probably a brown or anything would actually be fine. And let's just catch this in right here toward the back of this head. And I am spinning this elk hair around. I gotta be careful right there. So a couple of tight wraps to secure this feather. Take it up front before I snip the excess. And just wrap this hackle. I think 3 or 4 wraps are going to be sufficient right here. All right, now I need to back this thread up just a little so I can catch it off. Now let's snip this excess and work on our head. What I'll do, I'll just try to pull everything back a little bit so I can build a head. You don't want a huge head, it's a dry fly, but it's going to float pretty well regardless. So just make enough room for our whip finish here. Now take a look, do we have any cleanup? Sometimes you will. If that wing goes off a little bit too much on either side, you can just reach in there and trim them, because you want the body to be sitting down in that surface film. So you don't want to obscure that. But but I think we're fine. I got a little bit of a mess up there in the head, but I can get some head cement on it, still get my tippet through the eye. We got a fishable fly. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time. Good morning from the Gunpowder River here in Maryland. I'm here parked at York Road access. I've actually walked down a couple miles on the trail. I'm going to be fishing, dry fly fishing, wading it back upstream. So I'm farther down than I usually go. I'm going with some pretty light tackle. My fishing pole today is a new fast action 7.5 foot 2-weight. And I'm just fishing some standard caddis. This one I got tied on right now, I don't think it really has a name. It's got a little bit of olive and a little bit of green in it, but yeah, mostly just kind of elk hair stuff. But anyway, it's fairly early. It's still kind of foggy. You can see the water up there, probably a little bit of fog coming off of it. But feels like it might be a good dry fly day. Let's give it a shot. So we've got a little bit of riffled water down here. You've got a tree going across right there, creating a little break. So it's kind of a little bit slower, a little bit smoother on surface over there, but I'm going to fish this riffled water right now. Just throwing this caddis out here, letting it drift down a little bit through this choppy water, and there's a little guy right there. All right, he came off. He wasn't very big. There's one, there's one. Oh yeah. Oh, how big is he? He's okay. He hasn't come up yet. All right, I don't need the net for this guy. Standard gunpowder brown here. There you go, pretty little wild brown, you see that? All right, get on back in there, buddy. There's one. Oh, how big is he? Not too big, pretty standard gunpowder brown, I think. Maybe. Yeah, let's see. I can get this guy without the net. Wet my hand first. There we go, pretty little fish. Get on back in there, buddy. There's one. Little guy. He was a jumper for sure. There's one. Yeah, not too big. I think the smallest one of the day. See that? Still got his par marks on him. Look at that. Little guy. Did he get the hook all the way in his mouth? I don't know how he did. It's a big hopper and a little fish. Alright, well, he's off. He had it on there for a few seconds. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling it a day. It's been a fun morning on the gunpowder, but time to head home. So I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.